So let's understand the eligibility requirement for the CFA Institute examination. So when you're registering for the CFA Institute exams, so let me just give you the broad eligibility requirement first, and then I'll discuss the specifics around it. So one is you need to be either a graduate, or if you're already a graduate, you don't need to bother. You can just simply choose the option graduate and accordingly register for the institute's examination. The second option is you have work experience of 4 years. Normally you require a 4 years work experience. It is possible to have a 3-year experience if you have worked for more than 4,000 hours in 3-year time frame. So if you can explain, if you can justify based on your work profile, obviously there is no work log or time log proof that is going to be required, that you have to fill up hourly detail of what you have done in the last 3 years in order to qualify for this. But you'll have to give your job designation, the role you are in, the company you are in, and what work you have been doing, what work you have been holding on. That detail is going to be required in terms of work experience if you want to have 3 years of experience and you want to claim 4,000 hours. Paid internships are also allowed over here, but then in that case it has to be paid internship, and you have to write that you have been skilled enough, you have been doing certain kind of role. It has been an important role. I'll discuss this in detail on the institute's website. Now, when you're looking at the experience requirement, it need not necessarily be investment related. So the 3 to 4 years of work experience requirement that is there, it can be any job. It can be marketing, HR, finance. It can be absolutely anything, designing or whatsoever it is. It can be absolutely any job. It need not be investment related. When after completing the 3 levels of the CFA exam, then when you register for the charter, in that case the experience you have to put, that has to be investment finance related. There the details are going to be required. There obviously a marketing experience is not going to give you a charter. So obviously there are a lot of profiles even in marketing which is finance oriented. So we'll see that. So it has to be related to finance when you're submitting the experience for charter, not to apply for the institute, not to be eligible for the institute's examination. And the other alternative is combined experience in education. This is also going to be 3 to 4 years, but it again needs to have, if it is 3 years, it has to have a minimum of 4,000 hours. And the education will be considered flat 1,000 hours per year, per annum. So say for example, and also there was if a student is in the second year of college, he cannot say that first year and second year of college I have studied, so 2 years, and during the first year and second year I have also been working. So therefore that combines and gives me a 4,000 hours. You cannot claim that. It has to be sequential. You cannot have the work and education part parallel at the same time, running at the same time. So it has to be a 3 or 4 year time frame. Are you understanding? So it cannot be that during my first year and second year I was also working for 2 years. So that 2 years of education and 2 years of experience is going to give me a eligibility over here. That does not work over here. That is why it has to be sequential. And education is going to be considered only 1,000 hours per annum. And your experience part, then you have to see as to how much of what kind of a job, what kind of a role you have been in. So say for example, if you can justify that, my working hours are, let's say 9 hours a day and 6 hours a week, and that is going to be, let's say for 6 days a week, 9 hours into 6 days, let's say we are talking about India, and into 52 weeks. So you have like 2,800 hours easily covered in 1 year itself. So in that case, you can definitely claim that in 3 years, but that also cannot be in 2 years. You can't say that I've been working for 2 years and in 2 years I've completed 4,000 hours. So in three years, you can actually claim that yes, I've completed 4,000 hours of work. And again, with the graduation part, it has to be sequential. You can also register for the exam even if you're in the final year of graduation. I'll just discuss that part in a bit. Another question that I get very often from students is that I am taking up XYZ correspondence course or something I have done in terms of my graduation, I've done distance learning or something, will that qualify? So in case, see, the institute is not going to be verifying every single person's profile and then tell you that okay, this profile I will allow it to be eligible. The idea on the institute's website, it's given that in your country, if it is assumed, if it is given a bachelor equivalent designation, in that case it is allowed. So even there are students, I think CA, IPCC also, if you've completed the inter examination of CA exams and you can get it is a BCom equivalent in India, in that case also it will work as an eligibility. But then you have to, in case there is an inquiry by the institute and they want documents and all, you'll have to send the notification of the government or whatever circular that I am eligible because of so and so reason. So that shall not be a problem. And again, check, I'm not sure, but I think IPCC, you can get a graduation certificate or something like that, an equivalent with IPCC, that CA Inter also. Or say for example, you've done a distance learning IGNU program or something for graduation. In India, it is considered to be bachelor's equivalent. In that case, the institute will also consider. The institute is not going to individually check your eligibility and then accordingly give you an answer. So if it is there, you just make sure that that notification you have read that notification of the government or the circular by the ministry or something, and you know that okay, this is considered bachelor's equivalent. In that case, it is fine. So even your distance learning graduation all is not a problem. When you're looking at being an undergraduate, so while you're in the final year, now this I had actually also forwarded a request to the institute that the exam student is going to take the level 2 exam after graduation itself, but allow him to register for the exam while he's undergraduate so that he can apply and register in the early bird fee, so that the fees comes down for the student. So that is what the institute has done. Now understand this very carefully in case you are an undergraduate, otherwise this is not going to be relevant to you. If you are a graduate, you select graduate. If you are a working professional for more than 3 years or 4 years, you select work experience. If you are in, let's say, the 3rd year of college, or if you can state that 1 year of college is done and then in 2 years you have completed 4,000 hours of work experience, then that is also fine. Sorry, 3,000, because 1,000 is going to be considered for your, let's say, 1st year of college. Then 2nd year, 3rd year, if you've completed 4,000 hours of graduation, 3,000 hours. Total 4,000 is needed. Let's say in 1st year of college, my 1,000 hours is completed. 2nd year, 3rd year, I am claiming that I've completed 3,000 hours of work. So 2nd, 3rd year, so at the end of 3rd year, even if you're not a graduate, you can claim eligibility based on this sequential work X and education. 1,000 hours 1st year of college, and 2nd and 3rd year college, you have completed 3,000 hours of work X. And given the kind of working hours we have in India, I think we can easily claim that. Even, I'll come to the documentation bit also. Let me complete this part first. So say for example, this is your graduation month. Graduation month is not the exam, graduation exam date. Say for example, your graduation exam takes place for the final year in the month of April and your results are out in June, or let's say July. So you can take level 2 exam only after July. So let's say after July, you're allowed to take level 2 in, let's say, August. So you can register for level 2 exam in August. The exam is taking place after your graduation month. Your graduation month, say for example, is July. You can register for August exam, and you can register while you are an undergraduate. Obviously, you'll have to be confident that yes, I'm definitely going to become a graduate in the month of July. So that clarity you'll have to have. But if that happens, you can register for L2 while in college. So when you're registering for the level 2 exam, you need not be a graduate, but you have to make sure that the exam date of level 2 is after your graduation date. And for level 1 exam, earlier also we were allowed to take the exams in the final year of college. Now you can take the level 1 exam anytime between 11 months before the graduation date. So in July, if you're going to get graduated, let's say July in X year, then from previous year August, you can take the exam anytime between last year's August month till this year's July month. Are you understanding this? In the 11 months before. So actually you can register for the exam level 1 even before 11 months. So say for example, this is July 2021. 2021, the institute has updated this eligibility requirement. Say for example, this is July 2021. In that case, between August 2020 and July 21, you can take the exam at any point of time. For taking the exam, let's say in November 2020, I can register in January 2020 also. The exam date has to be between 11 months from before the graduation month. Anytime between 11 months from the graduation month, your exam has to be there. The registration for this exam can be done anytime before. The level 2 exam has to take place after the graduation month, the exam date, the exam month, but the registration can be done before. So there is an opportunity in terms of registering for the exam in the early bird, the earliest bird deadline, so that the exam, the institute fees is not very, very high. That is the reason why this provision has been made, that level 2 exam has to take place after graduation month. The registration can be done anytime before that. The level 1 exam has to be within 11 months from the graduation date. Obviously, graduation dates are this side, closer to the graduation date. And registration can be done at any point of time before that. So that is fine. So accordingly, you'll have to choose your eligibility requirement, right? With respect to documentation, the institute is not going to ask you to submit proofs and all while you or at the time of registration. But in case in future there is an inquiry, if in cases the institute wants to have any clarification with respect to your eligibility requirement, for college obviously you can submit your college mark sheet or your graduation certificate or something, and the date is mentioned over there. So make sure you're not falsifying any kind of information that is ethically wrong, and you could be barred from the institute altogether. And the second one is with respect to your work experience. So it is not that your company will have to sign exactly 3,000 hour work log or something, but the company can simply company can simply state that this is the normal working hours of the company and you have been working from this date to this date. So in that case, that is and your designation or your job role or something, that will be proof enough. So that will not be a problem. A simple LOR and all these things, documents from the company, and of course even for articleship or internship or something, it has to be paid. So therefore, salary slip maybe the institute might ask in case there is an inquiry. Otherwise, you don't have to submit salary slip. But in case there is an inquiry, then the institute can ask for that. So salary slip can be availed from the institute or bank statement or something like that in case they ask. Otherwise, a normal letter and all those details from the company's side is going to be sufficient normally. It depends on what is the issue and why an inquiry is being made. So that will be fine. So as long as it is legitimate, you'll be able to prove and everything, and it will not be a problem. I'll just go through the eligibility part of from the institute's website once. Yeah. So when you're looking at this, either you need to be a bachelor or equivalent program and degree of college, university. If you're not sure, consult your college or university. The institute is not going to tell you. So if you have a distance learning and graduation program or something you've done, that is fine. There will be no problem with that, as long as it is recognized as a graduate degree in India. Second, if the student is in final year, understand the exam window must be 11 months before your graduation date for your level 1 exam. But for level 2 exam, you must complete your degree before the date of sitting for your exam. So level 2, before the exam date, your graduation month has to be there. You can register while you're in final year for level 2 also. But the level 2 examination date has to be after your graduation month. And for level 1, it has to be within 11 months from your graduation date. You can register even in your second year. You don't have to be in the third year to register for the exam also now. So that you can take advantage of the early bird registration. With respect to professional experience, I've already told you 4,000 hours is going to be combined, but minimum of 3 years it has to be there. And it has to be sequential years, it cannot be overlapping years. And for education, 1,000 hours per year is what is standard and considered. Professional experience does not have to be investment related now, but when you apply for the charter, so say for example, this is a confusion. So right now, if you already have 4 years worth of investment experience, that will also work for charter. If you have different kind of experience right now, after your level 1, 2 or 3 or along with level 1, 2, 3, whenever you make the job switch and your job is related to finance, even teaching finance is a qualified job profile. So then you can, then that work experience will qualify for the charter. So charter will come after CFA level 3 is over. Then you have to submit those details. Right now the work experience need not be finance related, and experience could also, it could be internship, articleship, etc. if it is paid. Family business also works if you're applying, if you're actually working properly and you're paid for it. And professional experience would be, where you have communication, leadership skill. Basically, it's a proper responsible job. It is not time pass you're doing, it has to be a proper job. And so institute may request proof of education, proof of work experience, and that you need to provide. Failure to provide would obviously create an issue for you. So make sure that you're not falsifying or you're not writing any false information when you're registering for the exam. Of course, you need to have an international passport. The exams are going to be in English and no other language. And I've seen students, without reading properly the answer. So institute will give you questions in terms of, whether you have been convicted in a court of law for any kind of felony or something. And I've seen students at time making a mistake writing all yes, I've been convicted by mistake. So by mistake or casually or carelessly, do not make such mistakes. So you will be having a statement which you'll have to fill up in order to, when you're registering for the institute, because they'll need those details and all. Do not falsify any kind of details over there. And participating countries, basically wherever your exam are, and otherwise you'll have to fly to another country and take the exam. Mostly in all the countries, prominently all the countries, the CFA exams are taking place. So that you can, there will be an option of checking test center locations. You can check there and you can schedule your exam. That is another part of it. Right. So I hope this is clear, very, very clear with respect to eligibility. So if you're a graduate, fine. Even if you're a distance learning graduate, etc., it will be fine. If you're already working for 3 to 4 years in India, or primarily when you check your working hours, if it's 3,000, 4,000, if it's 4,000 hours plus, that is fine. If your education plus experience is going to be 4,000 hours plus, that is also fine. If you're in the final year, then level 1 you can register in second year, but make sure you take the exam in the third year. And when you're registering for level 2, you can register in the third year, but your exam has to be after the graduation date. When you are looking at, for example, if you are a student wherein you have 4 years of graduation, so engineers in India, for example, or people abroad, as in a lot of countries outside, will have a 4-year bachelor program. So in that case, what you can do is, in that case, also you can start the exam with the final year. So you can register in the third year, take the exam in fourth year. If you're working for the year 1, 2 and 3, in that case, you can choose the experience criteria. So in 3 years, you've completed 4,000 hours of experience. So that is a qualification criteria. Or you can register in the 3rd year, take the first level in the 4th year. And after 4th year, you're automatically eligible because of 3 years of experience in case you're working. If you're not working, then after 4 years of your graduation, then you can appear for your level 2. If you're working, then at the end of 3 years, you can take level 1, level 2 simultaneously with a 6-month gap. And in 1 year, you can obviously take only 2 exams in 1 year. So it can be either a Feb August or it can be May November. You can't do a Feb May. You can't do a May August. It has to be a 6 months gap between the 2 examination. Anyways, this is fine. You understood the eligibility criteria. So accordingly, please make sure that you're not making any mistake. You're not falsifying any information, and accurately you are choosing the eligibility requirement and accordingly filling up your form when you're registering for the exam.